I stood there, frozen, my heart pounding so hard it felt like my ribs would crack. My own bedroom. My bed. The sheets I had slept in every night for 5 years. And there she was, my wife, tangled up with some guy I had never seen before. His face was half buried in her neck, his hands gripping her thighs. Her lips parted in a way I thought was reserved just for me. But the worst part? He wasn't just any guy. He was from Reddit. The same Reddit where she spent hours scrolling, laughing, sharing memes. I had always teased her about being obsessed with it. I even jokingly called her Mrs. Reddit. But I never thought she'd be using that same app to invite a stranger into our bed, into our home. My breath was caught somewhere in my throat, my fingers curled into fists. I wanted to lunge forward, tear him off her, make him regret the day he was born. But instead, I did something worse. Something far, far worse. My name is Leon Mercer, and I'm 34 years old. I used to believe I had a perfect life. Great job, a stunning wife, a home filled with love. But let me tell you, nothing prepares you for the moment you walk in on your spouse with another man. My wife, Serena Mercer, was the kind of woman who turned heads without even trying. Tall, curvy, with hair that cascaded in dark waves down her back. The kind of woman who knew exactly how to smile at a man to make him weak. And for years, I thought that smile was only mine. We met in college, got married 5 years ago, and built a life together. I worked in tech, making enough to give her a comfortable life. She worked part-time as a freelance writer, which meant she spent a lot of time online. But I never thought anything of it. Until that night. It started a few weeks ago when I noticed she was acting different, guarding her phone like a teenager, smiling at her screen at odd hours, suddenly dressing up even when she was just working from home. I chalked it up to her trying to keep things fresh. Maybe she was just in a good mood. But then, one night, I woke up to find her missing from bed. I walked downstairs, and there she was, curled up on the couch, phone in hand, completely engrossed. She didn't even hear me approaching. "Serena?" I said. She nearly dropped her phone. "Leon, you scared me." "What are you doing?" "Nothing, just reading." She gave me a nervous laugh. "At 2 a.m.? She brushed past me. "Couldn't sleep." That was my first real sign, and I should have paid attention. A few days later, my gut told me something was off. Serena had left her laptop open on the kitchen counter. She never left it open. My curiosity got the better of me, and I took a quick glance. Her inbox was open. And that's when I saw it. A string of emails from a man named Mark with the Good Hands. My stomach dropped. I clicked, and what I read made my blood boil. "Can't wait to see you again, babe. Your body is addictive. Next time, let's try that new thing we talked about. You drive me wild. I still taste you from last time." My hands shook as I scrolled through their messages. She wasn't just cheating. She was enjoying it, fantasizing, planning their next move. And the worst part, they had already done it before, in my house. That was the moment I decided. I wasn't going to confront her just yet. No, I was going to set the perfect trap. That night, I pretended everything was normal, kissed her goodbye in the morning, told her I'd be working late. She smiled, gave me a lingering hug, like she hadn't been spreading her legs for another man behind my back. But instead of going to work, I parked a few blocks away and waited. And sure enough, just an hour later, I saw a car pull up to my house. A tall, cocky-looking guy stepped out checking his phone. I clenched my jaw as he walked right up to my door. To my bedroom. To my wife. But I wasn't just going to bust in. Not yet. I wanted her to feel the fear I was feeling. I wanted her to suffer. So I took out my phone and hit record. Then I walked straight inside. I pushed the door open, slow and deliberate, My heart pounded, but my mind was crystal clear. I was no longer just a husband betrayed. I was a man with a mission. As soon as I stepped inside, I heard it. Her moan, soft, breathless. The sound of pleasure that used to be reserved for me. And then his voice, deep, confident, laced with amusement. Damn, babe, you were right. This bed is comfortable. I nearly saw red, but I held my ground. My fingers tightened around my phone as I recorded every second. I stepped forward, the floor creaking beneath my weight. Serena's head snapped up, her eyes meeting mine. For a second, she didn't react, like her brain couldn't process what she was seeing. And then, her face drained of color. Leon? Her voice cracked. The man, the fucking stranger from Reddit, turned around too, his smirk still in place. He was cocky, completely unaware of the storm that was about to hit. You must be the husband, he said, stretching his arms behind his head like he had all the time in the world. Damn, she said you'd be working late. He laughed, and that was his first mistake. Serena shot up, fumbling to pull the sheets around her naked body. Leon, I can explain. Don't... I cut her off, my voice eerily calm. You can shut the fuck up for once. The air crackled with tension. She had never heard me talk like this before. Reddit boy, Mark with the good hands, chuckled again, running a hand through his hair. Look, man, it's not my fault your wife wanted some variety. Second mistake, because before he could even blink, my fist collided with his jaw so hard that the impact shook through my entire arm. The sound of his skull hitting the headboard was sickening. He groaned, slumping to the side. His eyes rolled for a second, but I wasn't done. I grabbed him by the throat and slammed him against the wall, his feet barely touching the ground. How about a little variety for you, asshole? I hissed through my teeth. His hands clawed at my grip, panic finally dawning on his face. Bro, chill. I didn't... She told me. Serena was screaming now, begging me to stop. She reached for me, her nails digging into my arm, but I shrugged her off like she was nothing. Let me tell you something, Mark. I spat, my grip tightening. I've broken men twice your size for less. His face was turning red now. Good. I let him go, just enough for him to gasp for air. You think this is over? I whispered so low only he could hear. I'm just getting started. Serena collapsed onto the bed, sobbing. Pathetic. Mark, still choking on his breath, stumbled toward the door. I should go. I caught him by the back of his shirt. You leave when I say you leave. He went stiff. I smiled. Unlock your phone. His head jerked up. What? You heard me. Unlock it. Now. His lips parted, his breath shaky. Why would I do that? Because if you don't, I whispered, I'll break every single one of your fingers before you even make it to your car. I wasn't bluffing, and he knew it. Hands trembling, he unlocked his phone. I snatched it from him, scrolling straight to his camera roll, and there they were. Dozens of photos, Serena, naked, spread open, bent over our bed, and videos. Jesus Christ. Serena must have seen my face because she scrambled toward me. Leon, please. I shoved her away like she was filth. You filmed it? My voice was dangerously low. She swallowed hard, her lips trembling. I didn't mean to. But Mark, that prick was actually smirking again. What can I say, man? She's got a natural talent for the camera. That was his last mistake. I slammed the phone into the wall, shattering it to pieces. Mark's smirk vanished. Dude, what the fuck? I grabbed his wrist and twisted, hard. He yelped, dropping to his knees. You like showing off, huh? I murmured, pressing my foot against his throat. You like humiliating people? He whimpered, nodding frantically. I leaned in. Then you're gonna love what happens next. I reached into my pocket and pulled out my own phone, and I took a picture of him, on his knees, shirtless, crying. "Guess what, Mark with the good hands?" I sneered. "Now you belong to the internet too." His eyes widened with terror. Serena sobbed harder. "And me?" I was just getting started. Mark with the good hands was shaking now. The confidence, gone. The cocky smirk, nowhere to be found. He looked up at me with wide, desperate eyes, his breath coming out in short, panicked gasps. "Leon, man, let's just talk, okay? No need to..." I cut him off with a sharp kick to his ribs. Not hard enough to break anything, yet, but enough to make him collapse onto his side, groaning. Serena screamed, "Stop it! Please, just stop!" I turned to look at her. Her hair was a mess, her face red and streaked with tears. She clutched the bed sheets to her chest like they could somehow shield her from the damage she had already done. "Now you want me to stop?" I said, tilting my head. She flinched. Mark tried to crawl backward, but I grabbed him by the hair, forcing his face up to mine. "You thought this was just gonna go away?" I hissed. "That I'd just walk in, catch my wife getting railed by some random dude and be like, 'Oh well, guess that's marriage'?" He swallowed, his Adam's apple bobbing. Leon, man, I didn't..." I yanked harder, making him yelp. "Shut the fuck up." Then I shoved him back down and stepped away, turning my attention to the trembling woman on my bed. "Tell me, Serena," I said, my voice almost too calm, "was he worth it?" She opened her mouth, closed it. Then she tried again. "Leon, I made a mistake, I swear. It didn't mean anything." I let out a laugh so cold it made her flinch again. "Oh, it didn't mean anything?" I gestured to the broken phone on the floor, because from what I just saw, it meant a hell of a lot. She let out a sob, pathetic. Then she whispered something so unbelievably insulting, so fucking stupid, I nearly lost it all over again. "I still love you." I stared at her for a moment. Then I laughed, really laughed. "You love me?" I repeated, shaking my head. Wow, what a relief. Here I was, thinking you were just a lying, cheating, backstabbing whore. But no, you still love me. That makes it all better, right? She sobbed harder, burying her face in her hands. I wasn't done, not even close. I walked to the closet and grabbed a duffel bag. Then I tossed it at her. She looked up, confused, her face still wet with tears. "Pack your shit," I said coldly. "You have 10 minutes to get out." Her face crumpled. "Leon, please. You love me, right?" I cut her off, my voice dripping with venom. "Then leave." She hesitated, her eyes darting to Mark, who was still coughing on the floor like a beaten dog. I smirked. "Oh, don't worry about your boy toy. He's gonna be gone too." And then I did something that made Serena's blood drain from her face. I pulled out my phone and dialed 911. She gasped. Mark scrambled up so fast he nearly tripped. Wait, what are you doing, man?" he stammered, pure panic in his eyes. I turned my back to him, speaking clearly into the phone. "Yeah, hi. I'd like to report a home intruder. Yes. He forced his way in, refused to leave, and when I confronted him, he got violent." Mark's face went white. You can't do that," he croaked. "Dude, I didn't break in. She let me in." I turned back to him and smirked. "Oh, and how do you plan to prove that?" He froze, because he knew the truth. This was my house. My name was on the lease. Serena had nothing to prove he was invited. No texts, no calls, because she had deleted everything. And now? I had a bruised knuckle from punching him, a broken phone to stage as a weapon, and an alibi strong enough to bury his sorry ass. The 911 operator was still talking, but I wasn't even listening anymore. I locked eyes with Mark and smiled. "You're fucked." 5 minutes later, the cops were at the door. Mark was pale as a ghost, sweat dripping down his face. Listen, this is a misunderstanding, he tried to explain, voice shaking. Serena was still sobbing on the bed, but I didn't give a single damn. I watched as the cops assessed the scene. And then I turned on my Oscar-winning performance. "Officer," I said, voice shaky like a man on the verge of tears. "This man broke into my home. I tried to defend myself, but he attacked me." The officer narrowed his eyes at Mark. "Sir, is that true?" Mark looked at me, at Serena, at the damning scene around him. Then I saw it. The moment he realized he had no way out, he swallowed. "I want a lawyer." The officer nodded. "That's a good idea." And then they cuffed him. The sound of the metal clicking shut was the most beautiful thing I'd ever heard. Serena let out a strangled sob. "Leon, please don't do this." I didn't even look at her. I just smiled as I watched them drag her little Reddit lover out the door. I wasn't finished with her yet, but she didn't know that. Not yet. The door slammed shut behind the cops as they dragged Mark with the good hands out in cuffs. His protests turned into pathetic whimpers as they shoved him into the back of the police car. Serena collapsed onto the bed, sobbing uncontrollably. I stood there for a moment, just watching her. The woman I had loved. The woman I had trusted. The woman who had betrayed me in the filthiest way possible. She was ruined now, but not ruined enough. I wasn't done with her, not yet. I grabbed a chair and dragged it to the center of the room, slow, deliberate. The sound of the wood scraping against the floor sent a chill through the air. Then I sat down, arms crossed, face blank. "Talk." She sniffled, looking up at me like some lost little girl. Pathetic. "Leon, please, I don't even know where to start." "Start with why you thought fucking a stranger in our bed was a good idea," I said, voice flat. "That seems like a solid place." Her mouth opened, but no words came out. I leaned forward, resting my elbows on my knees. "Come on, babe. You were moaning just fine a few minutes ago. Surely you can talk now." She whimpered, burying her face in her hands. I rolled my eyes. "Jesus Christ, Serena. You weren't this shy when you were sending that asshole naked pictures, were you?" Her body shook with sobs. "I was stupid, okay? I was lonely. You work late. You're always tired. I held up a hand. "Save it." She hiccuped, wiping her tears. "Leon, I still love you. It was a mistake. It won't happen again, I swear." I smirked. "Oh, babe, I know it won't happen again." Her lips trembled. "Does that mean you'll forgive me?" I laughed. "No, sweetheart. It means I've already ruined you." She froze. Her eyes searched mine, panic creeping into her expression. What do you mean?" she whispered. I pulled out my phone and pressed play. Her own voice filled the room, moaning, panting, begging Mark for more. The recording was crystal clear. The perfect mix of dirty talk, skin slapping, and betrayal. She went deathly pale. "Oh my God," she gasped, scrambling toward me. "Leon, please tell me you didn't." I leaned back, smirking. "Oh, but I did." She lunged for the phone, but I was faster. I stood up, towering over her. "You think you're scared now?" I murmured, my voice like pure ice. "Just wait until you find out where I sent it." She froze again. "Where? Did you send it?" she whispered, voice barely audible. I grinned. "Everywhere." She collapsed to the floor, screaming. First, I sent it to her family group chat. Her mom, her dad, her 2 sisters, even her sweet old grandmother. Then I sent it to her work email, just a little reminder to her colleagues about who she really was. Then I dropped it into a couple of Reddit threads about cheating spouses. And finally, I uploaded it to a dummy Twitter account and tagged her. Twice. And you know what the best part was? I did it all while she was sitting right there, watching me. The moment she saw the notifications blow up on her phone, she lost it. No! Please! She lunged at me, grabbing my shirt, shaking me like a madwoman. Leon, you can't! You can't do this to me! I grabbed her wrists and shoved her off me. Oh, but I already did. She clutched her head, rocking back and forth, hyperventilating. My dad, my boss, oh my God, my sisters. I crouched beside her, tilting my head. Bet you're not feeling so lonely anymore, huh? She screamed so loud I thought she'd pass out. I stood up, dusting myself off. Then, I grabbed her duffel bag and threw it out the door. Get out! She shook her head frantically, still sobbing, still begging. Leon, please, please let's talk. Let's fix this. I cut her off with one last look, a look so cold she went silent. There's nothing to fix, I said quietly. You're not my wife anymore. You're just some whore who got caught. She crumpled onto the floor, sobbing into her hands. I didn't give a fuck. I turned around and walked out the door. Finale. 1 year later. Let me tell you something. Revenge, it tastes fucking sweet. Serena lost everything. Her family disowned her. She got fired from her job. Her friends dropped her like trash. She had to move out of the city because no one would look her in the eye. And Mark? Oh, Mark learned the hard way that Reddit clout doesn't help when you've got a criminal record for trespassing and assault. But me? I moved on, upgraded, a better house, a better job, and an absolute goddess of a girlfriend who worships the ground I walk on. Serena? Well, I hear she's still in some shitty apartment, waiting tables, barely scraping by. Sometimes I wonder if she still thinks about me, if she still dreams about the life she destroyed. And then I smile, because I don't think about her at all.